I'm fascinated now with how we all hate our government. We're angry at Donald Trump. We're angry at Boris Johnson. We're angry at Macron. I don't think uh, anyone can be angry at Angela Merkel, but I think there are probably some people that are. And when I was little, we loved, and this is in America, we loved the president. Oh, we loved the president. We knew, of course, we didn't as children, but everybody knew that he was having an affair with his secretary. But we didn't care. We loved him and we loved his wife. His wife was Eleanor Roosevelt. And if you don't know anything about Eleanor Roosevelt, you should look her up on Google and you'll be shocked at how amazingly wise she was. She was so wise. I think her column was called My Day, and she was just a wise, wise woman. She was not very beautiful, um, but she was beautiful to all of us, to an entire country. She was beautiful, and we were, we were, we loved her. And my mother always said to me, "We are very lucky to have Eleanor Roosevelt in the White House because she helps the downtrodden." And I was about 4 years old then. I said, "Are we downtrodden?" And my mother said, "Not yet. But if we were, Eleanor Roosevelt would help us." And I said, "Is Dale Brodsky downtrodden?" Uh, And she said, "Well, you could call him that." We lived in a duplex. There was my Aunt Rose and Natalie upstairs, and then there was us, and then in the basement was Dale Brodsky and his family because his father was the maintenance man. And I knew that they were poor because after dinner, if we had any leftovers, my mama would put them in a little casserole, and I would be the one that had to take them down to Mrs. Brodsky and see if she could use that for her children. And when we went through my closet and we gave away my clothes, which were hand-me-downs to begin with. So this was about they'd already been worn to shreds because my clothes were all hand-me-downs from my cousin Sandy. But we would take these clothes that my mother finally decided I'd outgrown, and I would take them down to Mrs. Brodsky, so Dale Brodsky. So I knew that they were very poor. And Dale Brodsky used to love to watch the trains come in. Now think about how different that is. The train station, you could walk to the train station, and it was filthy. It was just a filthy, smelly place, and you could watch the trains come in. And Dale had come into town, and Dale just loved to watch the trains come in. And one day I went out to him. I was maybe 4.5, 4, and I said to him, I like trains too. And I said, "Would you take me someday to watch the trains come in?" And he said, "Well, maybe." He said, "Listen, I'll tell you what. I'll take you. If you come with me behind the garage, I'm going to show you something that's a lot nicer than trains." I was getting a little cold outside, and I said, "Well, okay, but I've got to go inside and get a sweater." And Dale put his arm around me, and he said, "I'll keep you warm." I like that, even at 4 years old. No estrogen yet, but I really like that. So I said, "Okay." So I followed him behind the barn, and I didn't see anything really very wonderful. All I saw was a broken bicycle and a pile of trash. And I said, "I don't see anything very marvelous around here." And Dale unzipped his fly, and he said, "There." And I said, "Well, I still don't see anything wonderful. All I see is your dirty underwear." And and he wanted me to play with his little vehicle that was inside his pants, and I was horrified. And I turned around and I ran home. And my mother, who was in the kitchen, and she ran into the house. And my mother, who was in the kitchen pretty much at all times, 24 hours a day, my mother was in the kitchen, and she said to me, "Where were you, Lynn Ruth?" She said, "I was just going to call you for dinner." I said, "I was trying to help the downtrodden, but it didn't work." Well, my mother was very self-righteous, and she said, "Well, you must not let that stop you. It's our duty as a human being to help those who are less privileged than we are." I said, "Dale Brodsky wanted me to play with something that he had in his trousers, but I didn't." I said, "Was that?" And he made him very angry. I said, "Should I have done that? Would Eleanor Roosevelt have done that?" And my mother said, No, she said, I don't think Eleanor Roosevelt would have done that, but she said, the nerve. She said, there are, what Eleanor Roosevelt would have told you is that there are many more interesting and exciting things to find in your life than anything you will find in a man's trousers. And I said, well, I don't understand what you mean. And my mother said, I know you don't, sweetheart, but Eleanor Roosevelt does. And thank you very much for joining me for my thoughts while standing in, well, just my thoughts on this lovely Saturday.